Welcome to the program Agric Economy on ARCN Television, Abuja, Nigeria. I am Khadija Uluwatoyin. As usual, we know we have our in-house economists who comes to dissect a different topic, bringing us to the know of what agricultural, the new innovations in agriculture as it relates to the economic aspect of it. And this week we will be tasking him on taking us through agricultural financing and economic growth. And our guest is no other person than Mr. Gabriel Dakula. Welcome to the program, sir. Like I said, sir, our topic for today is agricultural financing and economic growth. Wants to come close to what we had the last episode.
Okay.
What are their differences? What is Agric financing first?
Yeah. Agric financing, as we know, is the financing of agriculture on all the agricultural value chains to ensure smooth implementation of agricultural policies for both private and the public. Also, agri-financing involves not only the farm settlement or rural financing, but it also involves the integrated aspect of agri-financing as regards the farm implements, the tools, the industrial setup of agric production, and every other aspect of logistics of the agricultural value chain. And presently, we discovered that Agric is expected to take a front burner in the nation's economy with all the other factors that is affecting and plaguing the economy presently. So financing of agriculture is imperative now for the new government that has come up, so as to be able to generate jobs, to be able to actually effect the food security or the food emergency of the government that is about to be put in place, and also to ensure that more Nigerians go into farming for both subsistence and commercial basis. So agri-financing presently now is needed more than ever in the Nigerian economy to be able to ensure sustainability.
Okay, what are the things that so far, what are the aspects that the government has been able to come in as regards this sector?
Yes, over the years, the federal government has been able to come in the area of supply of inputs like fertilizers at subsidized rates. They have also been able to come in the area of seedlings supply, and also in the area of quality research on agricultural agricultural seedlings and products. Also, over the couple of years as well, the federal government has tried within its capacity to also finance agriculture through the CBN based on the various initiatives that have come on board, like the Anchor Borrower Program and other targeted interventions in cashew production, sesame seed production, and rice production as well. So we discovered that these interventions of government, as good as it is, needs to be improved upon even by this new government to be able to generate the desired results that this teeming population requires. Because based on the inflation figures that came up last week, we discovered that food inflation has also increased to about 25%, which is a sign that we need to do more in the agric sector for both rural and commercial farming. So the government needs to intervene, especially in the area of producing financing, in the area of producing agricultural inputs like the fertilizers and the improved seedlings, to be able to encourage the farmers on ground and other farmers to be able to be interested in doing more in agriculture.
Okay, we've seen cases where we have the federal government give, I think yesterday, President Tinubu came out and said that she release grains for farmers, and the rest of it. Is this just enough?
Actually, federal government used to have what we call strategic reserves, and it is the release or the instruction for the release is from the strategic grain reserve. Um, Instructions for release of grains from the strategic grain reserve always come up on occasions where there is scarcity in the market that has necessitated high cost of staples, and if there is natural disasters that has prevented farmers for to be able to farm to the extent that they will be able to bring enough to the market for sales. But in this case, we discovered that there is actual scarcity based on various factors like natural disasters, insecurity, and the cost of farming itself because of the various policies of government. So this grain reserve that is being ordered to be brought in is to cushion the prices of grains and other staples to be able to be affordable for Nigerians, because it's now becoming the food increases is becoming unbearable for the people. And I believe that the government is looking at this and viewing it seriously and looking for ways and means to alleviate the problems and the suffering of the people as regards the food high cost of food in the country.
Okay, it's just less than few hours where we had the second how would I put it, increment in
Yes.
the fuel price, and we know that in this part of the world, in Nigeria, so to say, fuel is one major, because it's very rare for you to see a vehicle using the CNS, the gas,
Definitely.
the electric vehicle, and the
Yes.
we know that there is poor power supply, and most farmers, bank their way in those that do post harvest and production in generating set and the rest of it. How should what's your advice right now? Because really it's biting.
Yes, the government knows the problems that we are facing presently. It is the approach that may vary. But one thing is very clear, that Nigerians need alternative to petrol. Be it electric vehicles, be it compressed natural gas, we need alternatives, because increasing the cost of petrol has a multiplier effect, not only on agri production, it has on every sphere of our life, because petrol revolves nearly 90 to 95% on activities of an average Nigerian in a day. It's either you use it for transportation, you use it to generate energy, cost is added to whatever it is you are buying based on the cost of transportation of those goods and services. And organizations also need to, because they need to run on diesel or on petrol, they must also include it in the cost, which will definitely cause the product or services they are rendering to you to increase as well. So when we discover this kind of increase like the one of yesterday, it is going to have a multiplier effect on the economy, and the Nigerian people are going to feel the pulse the more. So I believe that in the interim, the government should place more attention, and I say this with all sense of seriousness and humility, that government must not joke with agriculture presently. We all know that the statistics are very, very bad. We know that an hungry man is an angry man, and a good proportion of the youthful population of Nigeria are unemployed. So if the government can put so much interest in agriculture, it will help first to reduce this food scarcity that is affecting the people and reduce the cost. The government also should need to intervene, because when we talk about this petroleum issue, it affects logistics in agriculture. For those that are going to produce in the farm, they are going to use it for one reason or the other. Those that are going to transport the produce, they are going to use means of transportation from one area to the other. So definitely it will be added to the cost of those products. So government need to take a very holistic approach in issues of palliative when it comes to addressing the various problems that we have. And I was discussing in a forum yesterday, and I said that Cash transfer or conditional cash transfers alone cannot solve the problem that we have now, that emergencies should be declared in other sectors of the economy apart from the agric sector. In the energy sector, emergencies should be declared, oil and gas sector, manufacturing and the likes, because all of them cumulatively affect the economy of the country, and the trade-off is what affects an ordinary Nigerian. So the government should focus first and foremost on these agricultural dimensions that they want to bring out. Fertilizers for farmers, both new and old, increase land, purchase land for farmers to be able to use, cattle ranch. All these measures are very, very important. First, to reduce insecurity, because part of it, what causes scarcity of food is insecurity in the agrarian areas, and also to engage more Nigerians into farming. You can imagine that agriculture that is properly implemented, agricultural policies that are properly implemented in Nigeria in a year can generate over 20 million jobs.
Okay, quickly, let's take a quick break. Agriculture, if properly, done and channeled, where it's going to create job and take the teeming Nigerian youth who do not have job in Nigeria out of the street. Let's take a quick break. While we return, the program continues. Stay tuned. Yes, it's still the program Agric Economy, and we're talking to our guests who are taking us through agricultural finance and the growth in the Nigerian economy. Thank you for staying with us, sir.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so like you said before we went on break, if Agric really is being, the potentials have been harnessed, we're going to have over 20,000 jobs.
Over 20 million jobs.
Million jobs.
In a year.
In a year. Okay, we've seen that some youths are trying as hard as they could in seeing they can go into agriculture. Some have complained as regards financing.
Yes.
Let's look at financing as it sounds.
Okay.
How can Nigeria, make it easy for an upcoming farmer to be able to access money and do this business?
The good thing is that the federal government is showing interest, just like the previous administration. And I want to believe that the process will be different this time around. What the government needs to do first is to generate adequate data of farmers and those that might be interested in farming, both commercial and subsistence. Two, we need to also generate adequate data of the land and the allocations for each farming community and for those that are intended for those to farm there for whichever type of farming. Now, the thing that is also there is that the federal government needs to collaborate with the state government to ensure that each state allows its indigents to register as much as possible, and those indigents would be eligible to have access to the lands in their immediate community or in their state. When the adequate data is gathered for both existing farmers and intending farmers, then it will be easier to be able to allocate resources, channel the resources to the right places. Now, in the time past, even through the interventions of the federal government through CBN, we discovered that some people that are not even farmers were able to access these funds because of one political consideration or the other. So this time around, the government should allow experts to take up the running of these programs. It should be outsourced. What I mean by outsourced is that it should not just be a direct project that is given to government agencies like maybe the Ministry of Agric. They should get experts in these areas, even include NGOs in their board to ensure transparency. Because in Nigeria, we have seen that if government officials run things, they do it business as usual, and at the end of the day, we don't get the desired result. So when experts that are not government workers are brought in to channel and plan alongside the government in these areas to be able to channel funds, how the funds will be implemented, what are going to be used to make sure that the funds is not diverted, and what are the criteria for each segment, be it farming, be it poultry, be it whatever type of farming. Then those criteria will now be set out for Nigerians to meet. And if the government is really interested, then the issue of collateral will also be addressed in it to ensure that it becomes seamless for intending farmers and existing farmers alike. So I believe that experts need to be included that are necessarily not government workers to be able to do the right thing.
Okay, yes, we've also seen, we've heard of some farmers who they say in their own little way have been able to, come into the exploitation of, come any item, little item, listen to radio programs where we've heard them come on here and then, talk, like encouraging other young farmers to come on. But then there's still this issue of acceptance in the larger markets. Of course, not Nigeria this time around. I know we've had something similar to this in our previous episodes.
Okay.
Yes. Can we? What should be done? What should a farmer look out for in because you know that if you get the financing, of course, if you are being given this money, if this money is not being put to use in the right,
you may not be able to return it at the end of
the money. So
make profit.
What's the ways that that can be
yes. First, there are two things that needs to be done. One on the part of the intending farmer or existing farmer, and the second aspect is on the part of the government. For a farmer, for example, to be able to want to export whatever product is producing, he must have the desire, must have the zeal and the knowledge and the know-how of what it entails to get those products to the desired destination. Most of the time, some farmers just jump on the bandwagon of, oh, I'm producing yam tubers and I can export it. They don't get to do the research or what it takes to ensure that those yam tubers get to their destination without being devalued or being spoiled along the way. And they don't also know the standards that are required for them to be able to get those agric produce to the desired destination, and the cost implications that is also required, and whether there are improved agricultural practices in other climes that they are using to ensure that those products are preserved, those products are enhanced, and those products are able to stand the test of time, whether in variety or otherwise. So for an intending farmer or an existing farmer that has the interest not only to produce for local consumption, then you must have an idea of what it takes to export your products. So in that area, when the farmer has gotten enough ideas on the way forward as his plan in place, then what he needs is the collaboration of the government. The collaboration of the government has come in various ways. We have the government agencies that ensure standards, like the Standard Organization, like the NAFDAC and the rest. Then they need to partner with these intending exporters of farm produce and ensure that whatever they have is able to stand the test of time and is able to also be able to be acceptable, meet acceptable standards of the destination where it is going. So it's a collaboration between the farmer and the government. And you discover that I want to use China for example. If the Chinese government wants their people to come to Nigeria or to export a particular product, the Chinese government itself will first engage with the government of Nigeria and say that this and these are the things that we have in offering. After the engagement has been done, an agreement has been made, then the Chinese government will go back to his country and encourage the people that want to engage in this export, not only with words and guidelines, but with support. That is why you see that when Chinese companies come to Nigeria, for example, they have guarantees from the home government, and they also have financial backing to be able to engage in any venture in Nigeria. So Nigeria needs to go to that level, that after identifying these products, identifying the farmers, we need to collaborate with these farmers to ensure that the product is competitive enough to be exported and the price is also relatively stable or competitive with other competitors in the market. And if there will be need for financial backing, tax holiday, incentives, these people should be encouraged. Because some years ago, the CBN introduced incentives for exporters when they repatriate the funds. These are part of what should be done to encourage exporters of agri-produce. Because the more export we do in the area of agriculture, the more it stabilizes our economy through foreign inflows, foreign exchange inflows, and also increases the GDP that agriculture brings to the table. So it's very important that this collaboration is in place.
Because why I asked that is because you see farmers would be like it's easier for them to bring in for us to see foreign goods in Nigeria, but when you go up abroad, when you go out there, just for you to go with maybe your local rice and few condiments and the rest of it, you are being charged a whole lot of money. Let's be hopeful that the government is going to key into these areas you have highlighted, and things will be done as it ought to be. That's how we wrap it up on the program, Agri-Economy on this week. Join us again same time, same station next week. I am Khadija Oluwatoyin. I'm saying, ciao ciao.